I went back this morning and looked. In the last decade, that's 10 years, that's a lot of football. Big sample size. We went back and looked at every single first-round quarterback pick. There have been exactly 30. And they fall, in my opinion, into three categories. 6 of them are stars. Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Can't deny it. Absolutely special. 6 of them, of 30. 6 of 30 are stars. 4 others are what I would call high-end starters. There is some star quality, but missing something. Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Jared Goff, Tua. I'm not a huge Tua fan, but he's got some Drew Brees similarities in terms of, competency and leadership, good guy, super accurate. So this class has 3 first-round quarterbacks. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and C.J. Stroud. And I can see all 3 of them having some success. And I can see all 3 failing. Bryce Young is really small. Anthony Richardson is insanely raw. And C.J. Stroud is just not talented enough to overcome the Houston Texans' nonsense. And what really is the most interesting one is probably C.J. Stroud. I mean, it's so random. It's one of the weirdest things in the history of the NFL draft. Ohio State football, top 5 program all time, maybe top 2 or 3, has never had a legitimate star franchise quarterback for any long-term distance in the NFL. That is so weird to me. I mean, of all the great programs in America, one, Ohio State, never had a star quarterback in the NFL. Joe Burrow was there but transferred. And I have no real idea why. They've had great coaches, offensive coaches. They get pass protection. They have star receivers. My only guess is that being a quarterback at Ohio State doesn't necessarily prepare you for the NFL. You have such staggering talent around you compared to the rest of your conference, not called Michigan, that it just doesn't prepare you to get hit, to throw into small windows, to have to run for cover. At Ohio State, it's 4- and 5-star linemen, 5-star receivers, great coaching staffs, and a conference mostly outside of Michigan you can walk over. That's my guess. But if you told me today on August 8th, Tuesday, August 8th, I had to pick one that would miss, I would probably pick C.J. Stroud from all the things I've heard in camp. I think Anthony Richardson is so talented that with Shane Steichen, a brilliant offensive coach, I just think he's going to be productive. I don't know if he's going to win a lot, but he's going to be so absurdly productive. It's like 6'4.5", 255. He's going to be like tackling a defensive end. Cam Newton, Big Ben first couple of years. They just ran over people. Josh Allen was completing 55% of his throws for a year and a half. He just ran over people. I can see Anthony Richardson with Shane Steichen, a brilliant coach, a star running back, and a good offensive line. I can just see him being productive. Maybe winning 5 games, but you look up and you're like, yep, nobody plays like that. He could be special. Bryce Young, I think, has a really good head coach in Frank Reich, really good quarterback room, an offensive line that's better than people think, and they ran the football last year, and an owner willing to roll the dice. I could see him succeeding. Not lasting for 15 years. Not all players are. But he's a smart kid, high school, college, walked into the room and just figured it out very quickly. The reports are very positive so far. And then there's C.J. Stroud, rookie defensive head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, weird owner, below average roster. He's not talented enough to overcome that. Like Jared Goff, when he had Jeff Fisher and that staff, was not talented enough to overcome the mess. Then he got an offensive coach, Andrew Whitworth at left tackle. Then it worked. But if you said today, I've got to pick one today after what I've heard in camp, what I've seen, the video highlights, all the stories, I've been following all of them. If I had to pick one that just won't work, I don't know if C.J. Stroud is good enough to overcome rookie coach, rookie coordinator, impulsive, odd owner, and a roster right now that's in a rebuild. Excited to watch, can see all 3 rookie quarterbacks working, but in a decade, 30 first-round quarterbacks, 6 stars, 4 high-end starters, and 20 guys who can't win a Super Bowl and probably can't get there. Somebody's not going to make it in this class. You could argue all three could miss. So the USA Today College Football Coaches Poll came out yesterday. And speaking of coaches, there's not a bad one in the top 10. No sport in America is more driven by coaching than college football. The coaches in the top 10, Georgia, Kirby Smart, Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, Ryan Day, Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley. Number 7's Penn State, James Franklin. Mike Norvell at Florida State. You don't know much about him, but he's a really good coach, and they get better every year. Dabo Swinney and Josh Heupel at Tennessee, who people like a lot. Jim Harbaugh, though, may get more criticism than all of them. And it's weird. Nick Saban whiffed in the NFL, could not make it in professional football. Harbaugh won 2 division titles, got to 3 NFC championships, and a Super Bowl. And that's inheriting a complete tire fire. Turn it around immediately. In 7 years, if you take out the COVID season, which was a mess, 7 years, 5 at Michigan, 10-plus wins. 77% wins. He's clearly right now today, this morning, led Michigan to a better overall program, football-wise, today than Ohio State, a top 5 program. But sports fans tend to be addicted and cling to championships. So despite the fact that he has never failed and turned around everywhere virtually overnight, including the Niners, he doesn't have natties. So people think less of him. And he's not cool. And he's kind of quirky. And his offense isn't necessarily fun. It's old school. And we all like, in the media and fans, we like people we can put into boxes and they're simple. And Harbaugh is complex. No sport is more coach-driven. In the NBA, it's star-driven. Soccer, star-driven. Baseball, payroll, and front office-driven. NFL, we found that out when Brady and Belichick divorced. It's quarterback-driven. I love Andy Reid, but it's more Mahomes than Andy. College football's top 10, there are no B coaches. They're all A's. But Harbaugh's the one that gets criticism, despite the fact that many college coaches have gone to the NFL. Lou Holtz, Steve Spurrier, Saban, legendary coaches. Urban Meyer's on our show today. And the NFL thing didn't work. Pro football just didn't work for him, for whatever reason. Harbaugh was a star. But there's something about him that rubs people the wrong way. Well, it's Michigan, everybody wins. Rich Rod didn't. Brady Hoke didn't. That stuff didn't work at all. And Michigan, by the way, doesn't win big as much as you think. 1 national title in 75 years. They're not LSU, where Ed Orgeron can win a title. They're not Bama. They're not Georgia. They're not USC. They're not Oklahoma. They're not Ohio State historically. 1 title in 1997 in 75 years. 2 recent coaches flamed out, Rich Rod and Brady Hoke. And here's Harbaugh. Not necessarily likable, unorthodox, not cool. Offense isn't that fun to watch. And here he is, number 2 in the country, and clearly the program of current note, inertia, and momentum in the Big Ten. When you look at their schedule, it becomes pretty clear. Lots and lots of W's. It will come down to 2 games. November 11th at Penn State. They may be an underdog. It'll be close. And then hosting Ohio State 2 weeks later. That's their season. My guess is they run the table. I think they're that good. At Michigan State will be thorny and prickly. It's a rival. But Michigan this year is the deepest and best they've ever been. And they have a young quarterback who may or may not be a mid to late first-round pick. So they've got it all. The coach, the quarterback, the best offensive line returning in college football, momentum, a star running back, couple of high-end receivers, pass rushers. They've got it all. But yet nobody is embraced less often than Harbaugh as a great coach because he's not easy to fit into a box, and he doesn't have that title, and fans are uncompromising. You're no good without a title. Charles Barkley doesn't have one. Dan Marino doesn't have one. But we punish coaches who can't hold up a trophy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.